Before we get started, I just want to say that I really enjoy Endgame and Game of Thrones, and it's a little hard to do this because this game is just okay. I've been thinking so much about Endgame that I kind of want to do a video for it. We'll see if that happens though.
Assassin's Creed Rogue is the third game on our list. I first played this game a little after release back in 2014, and I hated it. Black Flag had released the year before, and to me it was a disappointing departure from what made the games great. The modern day story, which I know a lot of people didn't like, is what hooked me. The overarching idea that there were greater things at play, and it being drip fed over the course of several games is what kept me coming back. So when they made the modern day character a silent, slow walking drone, it was jarring and made me immediately dislike the game. This carried over into Rogue. I quit playing this game about 6 hours in, and I'm just now picking it back up a little over 4 years later. Basically, I'm admitting that I was unfair to the game. Picking it back up actually made me miss the old style gameplay. It's all still there, with no major changes from Black Flag or Assassin's Creed 3. Fan favorites like the rope dart and ship battles make a return, and are executed really well. I'm not a real big fan of the ship battles, not because they're bad, but it can get really hectic for a long time, especially when you're trying to get from point A to B. The restricted zones, patrolling ships, convoys, forts can get you stuck in what feels like a never-ending battle. Upgrading a ship does feel satisfying, allowing you to melt enemies if you grind for all the materials needed. While I did play completely through the story, I did not try to 100% the game. In classic Ubisoft fashion, there are icons across every inch of the map, and they're all the same recycled activities, so while there is a lot to do, none of it's that interesting. While I do like the combat in older Assassin's Creed games, the combat in Rogue felt off. Everything felt light and off-center. While Shay did have some badass moves, it just didn't feel polished like it was in the older games. Being able to assassinate any character was another thing that I missed. The air, running, hiding, and blending assassinations felt great. It always feels like if you're able to master the controls, you can make easy work of any of the enemies. Another issue that I ran into was sometimes enemies would fly in and attack. I would see the attack coming but fail to block it every time. Not a game-breaking bug or anything, just annoying. Graphically, the game impressed me. It holds up pretty well to have been released for the 360 and PS3. Yeah, I'm playing on PC, but you can tell there was some extra care in crafting the world and characters that really shines through. I did have an issue with the game that randomly caused it to crash. Turns out that if you have the texture setting set to high, it'll crash the game. I found a fix in a Steam forum post that was at least 3 years old. It's strange to me that this would be a problem for this long. There were other issues like character models floating during a cutscene, or character models disappearing during combat and you were fighting a floating sword and pistol. So the story is where this game shines. You play as Shay McCormack, a former assassin turned Templar. He's going rogue, get it? The events of the game show Shay a side of the assassins that he cannot agree with, and it sets him on a path to stop them at any cost. Like in Assassin's Creed 3, Rogue does a great job of showing the other side of the conflict. You gain an understanding that the Templars are looking to establish order and peace, while the assassins want freedom. The game does a great job of showing how the tenets of the two orders are wildly different and incredibly similar. Shay wasn't a one-dimensional character like I initially thought. He was conflicted by his actions. To betray the people he once considered friends weighs heavily on him. It was also cool to see how the Templars tested to prove his loyalty. While I do think they were ready to kill him if he faltered, it seemed as though they were rooting for him to make the quote-unquote right decision the entire time. The story does seem like it's trying to make the Templars look good. They seem overly nice, while the assassins after Shay's betrayal seem almost comic book evil at times. It is funny to see a bunch of guys exchanging pleasantries and being as kind as they possibly can, knowing that they could just break out and murder a bunch of people on a whim. This time around, I gave the modern day sections a fair shot, and they surprised me. The audio files and emails that you find throughout the building do a great job in filling you in on what has happened to this point and the current state of assassins and Templars. It is a decent change of pace from the main game, and I enjoyed it. The puzzles that are used are not that challenging, but they can make you think for a few seconds before you come up with decent solutions. I did have a problem with the last scene in the game, and I think that's because you play a silent and emotionless drone. My favorite thing about this game are the shanties. There are a decent amount of them if you're willing to literally chase them down. It is so immersive to set sail at full speed and the crew just breaks out in song as the waves crash against the bow of the ship. Of course, with this being my favorite part, I was annoyed with how easily you could be forced out of travel mode and the shanties would stop. Everything from being spotted to a gust of wind could pull you out of the experience. I noticed you can go into the menu and listen to the music, but I think it's best experienced while sailing. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one. Overall, the game was okay. I'm glad I did play all the way through. It's solely to see more of the dots get connected in the series. The next game I'm going to be playing is Battle Chasers Night War. It's styled after an old school JRPG. Should be fun. If you want to catch the next video, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're feeling generous, throw a like my way. If you aren't feeling that way, why are you being so stingy? Down below is a link to all the lists of the games in my backlog. If there's a game you want me to cover before the others, leave a comment and let me know. Till next time, peace.
Ready for a crash, sir! They're coming after us, sir! Schooner! They're French! They seem to be on their own, sir! Enemies firing! Fasten yourselves!